Hello, my friends. How are you guys? Miss Duncan decided to move her classroom, so it may look a little bit different, even though I've got the same stuff in my classroom. Anyways, happy Thursday, if you're on track with the days at least. We've been doing a lot of predicting, right, in this book, and I'm going to make you predict again today because we're getting to the end. It's getting good. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I always finish reading the section with you guys, and then I'll like turn off the camera, and I'm like, I really want to read the next one. So hopefully none of you have found the book and are going ahead. Hopefully none of you have read this book before. It's just getting so good for me. And I'm so happy that so many of you are following along. So yesterday, if you've watched yesterday's video, which you should have, we left off kind of where Julia, right, which is our little girl, and her dad, George, which is Mac's helper, are at the circus, the Big Top Mall. And Ivan is trying to show them all of his pictures. They finally figured out what the picture is. Remember, they went into the ring, the circus ring, and they laid out all the pictures. They figured out what it was, right? Julia realized it's the zoo from the commercials. She realized that he was trying to spell the word home, and she realized that Ivan wanted it to be on the billboard. That's why it was so big, and she tried to tell her dad that it should be on the billboard, and he said no, because he's gonna get fired. And Julia finally convinced him, and he said, all right, go get the ladder. And that's kind of where we left off. And I asked you to predict what you thought was gonna happen, whether it was gonna work. Are they even gonna end up getting it on the billboard? What if it didn't stick on the billboard? What if he changed his mind? Did they chicken out before they got it up there? There's so many different possibilities, right? So we're gonna find out a little bit more today, and then when we get to the end of today, I'm gonna have you guys predict again. But this time I want you to write your predictions down. You can either send me a message on Class Dojo, you can email it to me, you can write it on a piece of paper at home, and then you can have your parents take a picture and then send it to me. Whatever the easiest way is to get it to Miss Duncan. And then tomorrow, I might share some of your predictions. So, let's get started. I'm going to read the last line from yesterday. It was, the ladder, he says quietly. It is in the storage locker, right? That's where we left off. So, this section is the next morning. So it's not even bringing us to, right, the billboard. Okay, this is now the next day. I watch Mac's car slam to a halt in the parking lot. Okay, so just picture, here comes Mac driving his car, and like very dramatic, right? It slams to a halt. Halt means stop in the parking lot. He leaps out. He stares at the billboard. His jaw is open. He doesn't move for a long time. So we can imagine that he's what? What word can we use to describe him? Probably surprised, right? Do you think Mac was expecting to see a new billboard, especially one that's trying to convince people that Ruby needs to go somewhere else? Probably not. He's in shock a little bit, huh? A mad gorilla is loud, but a mad human can be loud too. Especially when he is throwing chairs and turning over tables and breaking the cotton candy machine. Mac is kicking a trash can across the food court when the phone rings. He answered it, red-faced and sweating. So he is mad now, right? At first he's shocked, he's surprised, and now he's angry, he's mad, he's upset. What the, he demands. He glares at me. I don't know what he starts to say, but then he stops to listen. Who? Julia who? He asks. Oh, sure, George's kid. She's the one who called you? More talking with the phone to his ear. Mac comes closer to my cage, eyeing me suspiciously. Yeah, he says. He paints, sure. We've been selling his art for quite a while now. There's another long pause. Yeah, absolutely. It was my idea, Mac nods. A smile starts at the corner of his mouth. Photos? No problem. You want to see him in action? Come on down and have a look. We're open 365 days a year. Can't miss us. We're right off I-95. So his tone is changing a little bit, right? He was shocked. He was surprised. Frozen even. He didn't even know what to do. Then he went to mad and angry. He's kicking stuff. His face is red. And now he's kind of like, Mac picks up the overturned trash can. Yeah, I think he'll be adding more pictures. It's a, what do you call it? A work in progress. When the call is done, Mac shakes his head. Impossible, he says. An hour later, a man with a camera comes to take my picture. He is from the local paper, the one Julia called. How about you take one of me with the elephant? Mac suggests. He drapes his arm around Ruby's back, grinning as the camera clicks. Perfect, the man says. Perfect, Mac agrees. Here's a picture. Ruby, does she look super happy? Not really, huh? Mac looks happy though, look at him. We haven't really seen a picture of Mac yet, I don't think. A photo of my billboard is in the newspaper. Mac tapes the story onto my window. Each day, more curious people arrive. They park in front of the billboard. They point and shake their heads. They take photos. Then they come into the mall and buy my paintings. While visitors watch, I dip my hands in fresh buckets of paint. I make pictures for the gift shop and pictures to add to the billboard. Trees with birds, a newborn elephant with glittering black eyes, a squirrel, a bluebird, a worm. I even paint Bob so he can be on the billboard too. I can tell he likes the picture, although he says I didn't quite capture his distinguished nose. Every afternoon, Mac and George add my new pictures to the billboard. People slow their cars while they work. Drivers honk and wave. My gift shop pictures now cost $65 with a frame. I have new names. People call me the ape artist, the primate Picasso. I have visitors from morning till night, and so does Ruby. Nothing's changed for her. Every day at 2, 4, and 7, Ruby plods through the sawdust with Snickers on her back. Every night she has bad dreams. Bob, I say, after I've soothed Ruby to sleep with a story, my idea isn't working. Bob opens one eye. Be patient. I'm tired of being patient, I say. So I want to pause. I kind of said this to you yesterday. I said, let's predict, do you think it's going to work? Now, right now, picture what's happening. This billboard is drawing in all sorts of people. They're coming to see Ivan. They're more impressed that Ivan is an artist than they're worried about Ruby not being treated fairly, right? So at this very second, is his plan working? Not really, right? And you can tell he's discouraged, right? He says, I'm tired of being patient. Have you guys ever been impatient, a time where you're just not patient and you kind of feel like giving up? Sometimes even at school we can feel discouraged, right? When something's hard, even if Miss Duncan is like, you are so close to doing it, you are almost there. Sometimes you guys want to give up because it's too hard, but Miss Duncan always says, keep going, right? And then eventually it works out. So let's see. This evening, a man and woman come to interview Mac and also George and Julia. The man has a large and heavy camera perched on his shoulder. He films me as I make my pictures. He films Ruby in her cage with her foot roped to the bolt in the floor. Mind if I take a look around, he asks. Mac waves a hand. Be my guest. While Mac and the woman talk, the cameraman walks through the mall. He pans his camera right and left, up and down. When his eyes fall on the claw stick, he stops. He trains his camera on the gleaming blade, then he moves on. Mac turns on the TV. We are on the early news at 5 o'clock. Bob says, don't let it go to my head. There we all are. Mac, Ruby, me, George and Julia, the billboard, the mall, the ring, and the claw stick. In the morning, several people gather in the parking lot. They're carrying signs on sticks. The signs have words and pictures on them. One has a drawing of a gorilla cradling a baby elephant. I wish I could read. More people come with signs More people with signs come today. They want Ruby to be free. Some of them even want Mac to shut down the mall. Look at all of their signs. Some have pictures. Miss Duncan isn't very good at getting this in the right way. We love animals. Elephants are people too. Animals need love. Ivan and Ruby. Free for Ruby. In the evening, George and Mac talk about them. Mac says they're protesting the wrong guy. He says they're going to ruin everything. He says, "Thanks for nothing, George." Mac stomps off. George, holding his mop, watches him leave. He rubs his eyes. He looks worried. "Dad," Julia says, looking up from her homework, "you know what my favorite sign was?" George asks. "Which one?" "The one that said, 'Elephants are people too.'" George gives her a tired smile. He goes back to work. His mop moves across the empty food court like a giant brush, painting a picture no one will ever see. A tall man with a clipboard and pencil comes to visit. He says he's here to inspect the property. He doesn't say much more, but he makes many check marks on his paper. He looks at my floor, check. He examines Ruby's hay, check. He eyes our water bowls, check. Mac watches him scowling. Bob is outside, hiding near the dumpster. He does not want to be a check mark. Every day there are more protesters and cameras with bright lights. Sometimes the people carrying the signs shout, "Free Ruby, free Ruby." "Ivan," Ruby asks, "why are those people yelling my name? Are they mad at me?" "They're mad," I say, "but not at you." A week later, the inspecting man comes back with a friend, a woman with smart, dark eyes like my mother's. She has a white coat on and smells like lobelia blossoms. Her hair is thick and brown, the color of a rotten branch teeming with luscious ants. She watches me for a long time, then she watches Ruby. She talks to the man, they both talk to Mac. The man gives Mac a sheet of paper. Mac covers his face. He goes to his office and slams the door. Okay, that's where we're going to stop today, which is exactly why Miss Duncan said she's going to have you predict. These people, mysterious people, we had this man, he was an inspector, and he came and he looked at everything, and he was making check marks. Kind of like Miss Duncan comes around and said, "Did you do your work? Oh, check. Did you do your work? Check." Right? He is going around, and then he leaves. And then he comes back and he brings another friend, and she watches Ivan and Ruby both. And then they kind of talk, and then they hand Mac a paper, and Mac just goes, and then he slams the door to his office. What do we think is on that piece of paper? So again, you can type it to me in a Class Dojo message. You can type it to me on the Google form in the Google Classroom. You can draw a picture of what you think that piece of paper looks like, or you can write it, and you can have your parents take a picture of it and send it to me on Class Dojo, and then I might put some on the video tomorrow. We'll see. I want to do a Fun Friday activity too, and I don't want this video to be 45 minutes long, so let's see how good they are. I'm kind of excited. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know what's on that piece of paper. Miss Duncan doesn't even know yet. So, what do you think is on that piece of paper? And think about what that means, right? Something that Mac is not happy with, and no one else knows what it is yet. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. And I will see you tomorrow for the next part and Fun Friday. By the way, we're getting very, very close to the end. There's 300 pages, and we will start on page 237 tomorrow. So we are very close to being done. I'm excited and sad at the same time. And just like yesterday, if you have any ideas for the next book that we should read, let me know, and I will think about which book we should read. Bye, guys.